and it's day 33 of 50 Days of Fitness. We have hit the 2/3 of the way through mark, and it's one of those things. So I guess we have 17 days left. Is that right? Yeah, I think we have 17 days left. So it's going to be over before you know it. I mean, it's just really a little more than a couple of weeks, 2.5 weeks left. So, and it's one of those things, it's for 33 days. So basically just a little bit more than a month. Even though day to day, it doesn't seem like it, but I can tell much bigger differences than I expected to see in 1 month time. So that's all great. So today it is Sunday, and if you've been following along, you know that on Sundays, that's Bump It Up Sunday a little bit. And so for me, I added two. So I have my steady thing, so we'll go, I'll just kind of go through them real quickly. I do 20 squats, I do 20 toe touchers, I do 20 calf raises, I do 10, although I bumped that up to 12 lateral arm raises, so like, just raising my hands up over my head and back down, and then I do 12 of those forward as well, so I added 2 there. And I'm doing a curl with a band. I have a band. My band is set at 50 pounds, and those, that's not exactly like it would be if I had a 50-pound barbell that I was using. It doesn't equate exactly, but it gives you an idea. So I'm using a 50-pound band, and I bumped that up 2 more, so I'm doing 12 reps on that. And then a shrug with those same things, same band, bump that up to 12 shrugs. Then I do 12 grip. I have my grip trainers on each hand, and I go up to my Bowflex, my 30 or 35-year-old Bowflex I have upstairs. And I'll do a bench press I increase that to 12 reps as well, and then I do a seated row for 12 reps. So I think that's 10. I think I'm doing 10 different exercises now. Which I know if you haven't watched any of these before, you're probably looking at that thinking, if you're asking people to just start out, that's a lot to do. But we didn't start there. I mean, I started actually before I started this series just doing the squats. And it started out, I did 10 squats. And the whole idea was, I'm going to earn my coffee. So before I could get my coffee, I had to do 10 squats. And then I increased, and next thing I knew, I was doing 30 squats, and I thought, well, let's cut back on the squats and start adding in some other things. And so one of the things, again, going back to some of the previous episodes, is I decided that I was going to first work on my legs and kind of lower body. Mainly to get a good foundation for everything else, because going way back to some of the videos I did at the very beginning, one of the single biggest indicators of your longevity is whether or not you can just get up off the floor. And a lot of people, if you get down on the floor, they can't really get up by themselves, not very easily. And so there have been a couple of studies that say that just the ability to be able to get up off the floor. So we want to have a good, strong foundation in our lower body. So it started with that, and then gradually we added a little bit more. So the first thing I added was toe touchers, and then I added calf raises. So again, kind of really sticking to lower body, kind of getting that kind of back. And with that strength also comes balance. Because some of your balance depends upon having that strength. So we worked on that, and then we began to add into the other things. And so the whole idea, my thinking, this was just I'm not a personal trainer. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a dietitian. I say that over and over. but it was just my thinking is there's a workout regimen, and it's called 5 Big Lifts. And I kind of had that in mind when I was doing this, is try to hit the big things. And then, we might add into the other things, but try to hit the big things. And so the 5 big lifts, now that I'm saying it, I probably won't be able to remember them all, is a squat, is a deadlift, is a bench press, is a bent over row, and a military press over your head. And so these exercises that I've been adding in, they're not all body weight, but I wanted to be able to do stuff at home. So these are all, this is all equipment I have at home so that I can kind of cut it in. And so the idea is that while you're waiting for your coffee, you're waiting 2 or 3 minutes for your coffee, and if you have a Keurig anyway. So why not just, while you're waiting, do some squats or do some stuff. And so now that I've added all of these other things in, for our 50-day challenge, and it takes me a little bit more than 5 minutes to do the whole circuit. And so I'll do that, and then I'll get my coffee, and then I'll wait until it's time for another cup of coffee, and then we'll do it again. And we try to do that 4 to 6 times a day. And we are doing the same exercises every day. I know a lot of people are like, that doesn't work. I was always confused by that. But, if you ever have had physical therapy, they have you do those things every day. And I was always confused, like, why does that work? And then I came across this concept called greasing the groove. And so basically, greasing the groove is like if you're having a really hard time with an exercise, either you just can't get it, or you can't get strong enough, or you can't get it quite right. There's this thing called greasing the groove, where instead of trying to do your max, you cut way back on the number of reps, way back on the weight, and you do maybe 40% of what your max might be. And so for a lot of things, that's a couple of reps, or maybe 4 reps, or maybe even less than that. And so the idea is that you do it and then you stop, and you don't try to do another set or anything else. You wait, and then you try to do it again, and you do that. You try to get in 4 to 6 sets a day, but not all there together, kind of spread out, and that can help you kind of break through that. So kind of combining all of these things together is how I came up with this. And so far, it's been, very, it's been going very well. So I'm very pleased with that. So that's my bump up in the regimen. It probably is going to add, 30 seconds or so to the total workout, having those other things. And I'll keep bumping up like this. But like I say, we're hitting like 2.5 weeks, and then this series is over. So that's my piece on Bump It Up Sunday. I did another weigh-in. I'm still at 200. I've been at 200 now for 3 or 4 days. So I got my fingers crossed. I think I'll still be there by Tuesday, and I'll be able to count that. And if that's the case, in this 33 days, I'm down 18 pounds, which is pretty incredible, really. I mean, if you think about it. So that's my update on how things are going. If you've been doing this and all this stuff, I'd like to know, how you're doing. Maybe you can tell me what your regimen is, what exercises you're doing. Are you just doing legs? Are you doing like a circuit like me? What is it you're doing, and how's it going? And are you doing the sugar fast, or are you doing some other diet? What diet are you using? How's that going? I'd be interested in knowing. So anyway, that's my update for Bump It Up Sunday. And today I thought I'd spend my last couple of minutes talking about screen time. And, the cell phones that we have, which are unbelievable inventions. I mean, it seems, for those of you who are younger, like Star Trek came out when I was a kid. And the stuff that they did on Star Trek seemed like mind-blowing. There was no way that that kind of technology could ever exist. And here we are, and we have a lot of that technology, and cell phones are very much like the stuff that they used to carry around, and it's really, really mind-blowing that we basically have these tools that are incredible. But they haven't been without their cost to us. I mean, the amount of time that people spend looking at their phones, and the amount of time that we spend in front of our computers and in front of our phones and all those things, the screen time is unreal. And I don't even think that I'm bad at it. I think that I'm better than most people, but I get, my phone sends me this weekly thing, and it's like, oh yeah, last week you were averaging 5.5 hours a day of screen time on this device. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Well, I mean, really? And then that doesn't include now I'm thinking that the way they calculate it, that sometimes I'm at my computer and it thinks that I'm looking at it, or sometimes whatever, but I don't know. And it makes me think, how much time am I really spending on this? Well, I mean, we have to use these tools. I mean, our cell phones are our phones. I mean, we wouldn't be able to use, unless we can just not ever be on the phone, we couldn't ever do that. And so we're going to have to use them, but we should be thinking about screen time, how much time we're spending on that. And one of the things that there's been a lot of talk about is that we're doing this and we're forgetting how to interact socially with other people. You know, we try to interact, and we don't seem to know how to interact with other people if we're not doing it through our phone, through a text message, or through sending a meme or something like that. And not only that, but the algorithms on all of these things, which are, again, they're amazing algorithms, you know, on Facebook and YouTube, and I mean, all of them, LinkedIn, yeah, every single one of them. They're amazing, but they also have changed the way we do media, and it's self-reinforcing things, and it even convinces us of things that may not even be real or true, because it's only feeding us things that we seem to want to see, and it doesn't let us see other sides of things. And so there's that part. And then there's another part that, just from a mental perspective, and my friend Andrew Huberman, who I don't know, has talked about this quite a bit, the screen time and the blue light and the things like that. A lot of those things, they have effects on our brains and the way our brains work, and they affect our sleep, and they affect a lot of other things. And so there's some things, I mean, like, you know, Andrew Huberman says, you know, really, probably after 10 o'clock, you should not have any screen time at all on any device. You should turn it off completely. And that the way our circadian rhythms work is that period of times in the late evening from 10 until, like, say 1 or 2 in the morning, it especially will disrupt our circadian rhythms, our brain function, our sleep, and everything else. And so it can mess up your sleep, it can mess up your the way that your brain is processing things. And so we need to take breaks. You know, we really need to take breaks in our screen time. So food for thought. You know, I know, and I'm guilty of it. I'm not saying I'm not. I am. And that's one of the things, like, one thing, I rarely read books anymore. And a few years ago, I was trying to make a practice of getting a book ever so often, and always having a book and be reading, trying to read a little bit every day. And that kind of slipped away from me. But that's something I think that would be good instead of watching TV. I mean, TV's easy. And let's face it, you don't have to put much effort into it. You can have that entertainment, and you can be very lazy and do it. And but I think that it would be good for me to do that as well, to get some books and be doing some reading instead of all this screen time, getting out and being outside and having face-to-face interactions with people with the phones off, not through your phone. So that's it for today. So here ends day 33, and I hope you'll be back tomorrow for day 34. If you like this, give me a like. If you know someone who might benefit from it, maybe you share it, maybe even subscribe. And maybe you check out our last 50-day challenge, 50 days of trash. And when we're done here, we're going to do another 50-day challenge to be determined. So have a great day, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.